Welcome to a Galaxy Man Show interview show. So for my very last guest of this week is this incredible actor known by the name of Dave Martinez. He's been in incredible projects. So yeah, I'm about to add Dave into the live now and I have a chat with Dave about his projects that he's been in. So yeah, let's add Dave in and here we go. Hey Dave, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you, brother?
Yeah, really good, thanks. I just want to say first up, thank you so much, Dave, for taking the time to join my show. It's such a pleasure having you on the show today. To people that don't know who you are, if you can give like a bit of insight about yourself, and then we'll dive right into the questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, hello, everybody. I'm Dave Martinez. Good to see everybody. But yeah, first and foremost, I was born in California, moved around quite a bit, but got into acting, I think like middle of my high school time, and kind of balanced that with music and stuff. But yeah, I got my undergrad at BYU Idaho in Rexburg, Idaho, and got that in acting. And then I went overseas to England and got my Master's of Fine Arts degree from Royal Birmingham Conservatoire in acting. And yeah, did some workshops with Royal Shakespeare Company, Globe. A lot of theater background, but just hopping into film this past like year and a half or so, maybe more like a year. So that's me.
Awesome. So I'll dive right into the very first question now, Dave. So so you were actually in a film in 2020 called The Book of Mormon. Mm-hmm. Such an incredible film, by the way. You actually play the role of Amon. Hopefully I said the name right. What was it like getting to play Amon in the Book of Mormon, and what was the whole experience like for you?
Yeah, that was a pretty cool experience. I just graduated from drama school like 8 months or so before, so to land a gig like that where I was able to travel to Hawaii for a week and stay on the island of Kauai and have like a personal trainer that was like, "You need to get ripped," and I was like, "Okay." I've never eaten so much protein, Jake. I thought I was going to die. I just thought I was going to die. It was wild. But I think one of the beautiful things about that was just being able to learn so, especially having a sort of theater background and then hopping into film and learning to take these emotions that are usually so big. And I have this kind of rubber-like face where it's really big and then just kind of consolidating it into something smaller. Was quite the challenge, but I loved the cast that I worked with. I mean, like I was working with people like Charlie Boone, Jeff Dickamore, Chris Cardenas, Ben Lomu. I mean, Ben Lomu's he's a looker, man. Whew, my goodness, he's a good-looking guy. But I just had so much fun doing that. But I think one of the things that I learned from that sort of show was. I don't know. I think I learned to talk a bit less and just do more. And I don't think I was necessarily in the right frame of mind at that point in my life. I was going through some pretty gnarly things, but I look back at it now, and I mean, truly, it was a great experience for me to be able to learn that sort of sense.
Awesome. So I'll tell you the very next question. So what was like your most favorite like memorable moment or scene to shoot in the Book of Mormon, and why?
Okay, so there is a scene where Emmett is like cutting off people's arms. It's like for Mormons, it's like, oh, this is exciting. But for me, the night before we were doing a shoot and we had to like run through these woods. And did a couple takes of that where we had to run and then slide on our backs because we're seeing this sort of angel appear. Did like a run through. It was perfect. It was fine. But then we did the first take, running, and we go to slide, and my right foot catches a tree root. It's like the perfect shape of like a snowboard binding. And I caught it, and it almost snapped one of my, but it was like purple. And I was just like, this was just crazy. And the next day I had to shoot all of these stunt sequences on this toe. And I mean, I was like, feeling so much pain. but I loved that shoot because it was so much fun to be able to just go, okay, my body is hurting right now, but I'm just going to consolidate my energy and focus. And I mean, I was shooting in Hawaii. It was ridiculous. You could see in the background, like the mountain where, you know, they used to shoot like the intro to Raiders of the Lost Ark or King Kong. I was like, this is wild. You know, this is my job. It's crazy. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. But yeah, it's just insane, you know. So I think that's one of the favorable sort of moments for me.
So on to your next question. So you have also been in a film that's coming out later this year sometime called Burn Rider, and you actually play the role of Jaime in Burn Rider. What can you tell people about Jaime in Burn Rider?
Yeah, I mean, not a ton, other than, you know, I played the nephew of a disgruntled, powerful man who hasn't got his money on time, and I go to help collect those funds, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, that was shot down in Kanab, Utah. And to be able to shoot during the pandemic, I'll just throw that out there. I feel so incredibly lucky to be able to have worked during such a tumultuous time. And I've never been so busy, which is, it feels almost contradictory, but, you know, that's that.
Awesome. Sounds like your next question. So you have also been in this incredible series called The Chosen, and you actually play the role of Itheran in The Chosen. What was like that whole experience like for you getting to play Itheran in The Chosen?
Well, first off, like shout out to my manager, Michelle Christensen. I wouldn't have even been seen for her. I was actually working as a PA, just a production assistant on some Hallmark films. And I just kind of felt really kind of like burnt out. I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to make it in this sort of industry here. But through a myriad of connections, my manager and I connected, and she was like, I have this project for you called The Chosen that I want to submit you for. And I was like, all right. Hadn't really heard of it at all, and submitted it. And gosh, I think we waited for like a month or so for any sort of response. And I thought at that point, I didn't get anything. But lo and behold, you know, get the call. It's like, you booked it, like you're in it. And I was like, that's great. That's so rad. Like, cool. It'll be a fun little project. And I had no idea that it has the fan base that it does. I was like, you know, over 50 million people. Like, you're kidding me, man. Like, watch this globally. Like, so many now want that sort of that attention from an audience. But working on that project was fantastic. I think there was this great amount of community that is kind of like split within that group. But I will say one of the things that's like really special about it is within that community, there are so many people that have so many different belief systems, and, ways of approaching life, but the desire that they have isn't so much to like show how right they are or righteous or anything like that. It's just this sense of, we want to make a good product and we really like working with everybody here. So let's make this a fun place to work. And you know, I was on that set, you know, over a span of 3, 4, 5 days, you know, over a couple of weeks, and I loved my time. Like, I loved it there, and I loved being able to learn, and being able to work across people like Ala Rafi, who's, you know, done some stuff like Doctor Strange and all these other things. I was like, whoa. It was an amazing experience, and so it's been exciting to see, you know, where that will go with the series, and you know, to be able to be in Utah of all places and to again get on a project like that, it felt pretty rock and roll, you know.
Awesome. So on to our next question. So you have also been in a film coming out in 2022 called, hopefully I say this right, The Allergy of God of Pain. What can you tell people about the Algae of God of Pain and this sounds like an incredible name for a film. Yeah, what can you tell people?
You know, all I can really say at this point is, you know, I'll be playing a father, and it's judging by the name, it's such a happy, fun film, family film. Just kidding, but like, it's definitely one that I'm excited to play. It's going to be dark, and I don't know. It's hopping into a sort of horror genre that I think it's going to be pretty fun. You know, I play like a lot of like either intense roles or stoic roles, but to be able to do something that's pretty heavy in a horror genre, that's going to be fun.
So I'll take our next question. So what made you decide as a person and as an artist that you want to like get into acting in like the first place?
Ooh, Jake, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I think, like, if I'm being absolutely honest, there's a feeling in me, I think going through a lot of grief in my life, and not necessarily knowing how to express it. Up until that point in my life, I had just kind of done a lot of skateboarding and listened to angry punk music, and I honestly, I don't know how I survived not getting hooked on drugs and also like that. Like, I'm pretty lucky, especially with, you know, people I grew up with. You know, have some pretty gnarly stuff going on in their lives. But I think acting, I had a teacher when I was in, I think, 7th or 8th grade. So I was about 13 or 14 years old. And her name was Delilah Shank, which is a crazy last name for a teacher to have. Or like, this is made up. But she had me play a role in The Diary of Anne Frank. We did The Diary of Anne Frank when I was like 13 or 14 years old. I had no idea what I was doing whatsoever. And I had a really thick California accent. And, you know, I'm just delivering these heavy lines where it's like, oh yeah, Mr. Frank, it's such a tragedy what's happening in our country. And I just sounded so ridiculous, but there was something about being able to perform and being able to sort of step into somebody else's shoes, which I kind of later learned was a different form of empathy. That felt fantastic. And so I think at an earlier age, you know, that 13 or 14-year-old Dave was like, hey, I find some belonging at this point, and it kind of set me on this trajectory of this is not only fun, but it feels sort of edifying, you know. And now that I'm at where I'm at, it feels great to do, but it doesn't feel so much like therapy anymore. It feels like I just get to enjoy the ride of having the great privilege of being able to make money talking, saying somebody else's lines and standing in front of a camera. That is absurd, but I get to do it, you know. And so it's been a beautiful ride.
Well, can I just say, your journey, Dave, has been truly sensational. Like, your projects that we have mentioned on the show today have been truly truly incredible. Like, your roles that you've been in, incredible. Like, to people that haven't seen Dave's projects, definitely go check out Dave. He's truly one sensational actor. You've got such a bright future ahead of yourself. You really do, Dave. For my very next question, so who would be like all-time inspiration, like acting-wise?
Oh, you know, I was really, for a long time, I was really into people like Daniel Day-Lewis, and Mark Rylance. I like a lot of these British actors and stuff. But I think for me, more so recently, I'm trying to find inspiration in other places that isn't just within the acting world. Like, I mean, behind me, I have, you know, people like Van Gogh and stuff, Van Gogh. But I find acting inspiration from a lot of other people, and a lot of times it's people that aren't even actors, and I like that. Like, musicians say things in a certain way, they play a certain chord, and I'm like, that's a really interesting sort of emotion that's conveyed that that isn't embodied in necessarily word or body. It's something else. So sometimes looking to paintings, going to museums. Um, I was in California on a vacation, and I came across this man. He was drunk as a skunk, like way out there, and he just yelled at me. He was like, "Hey, you should add me on Instagram." And I did, and I started following him, and I was like, "This guy is one of the most unique and strangest human beings I've ever encountered, and I can learn something from him." So I think a lot of it, I've tried to take the accolades out of the equation and go, I can learn from anybody and from anything, and trying to make my source pool a sort of a bigger thing, rather than just within the acting community, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So on to our very next question. So because of all this COVID drama, what have you learned about yourself as a person, like especially during COVID?
Find other things to do besides social media, besides acting, besides any sort of way that will try to that you try and seek for affirmation outside of yourself. Get into nature, read a book, like get off the device, and cultivate other hobbies. Like I think that is something that is greatly being negated, I think, within our current sort of climate. Everything is super instantaneous. And I think one of the things that COVID was a great revealer for was just recognizing we have to slow down. At some point, you have to slow down, and you have to sit with yourself and allow yourself to be with your thoughts. And some people, devils came out, and they're like, I haven't had to deal with this for who knows how long, because I've been able to pacify the time with either going out and drinking, or going out and being on my phone and going. But there will come a point when the top, it stops spinning. And you just have to look at yourself. And so being willing to sort of look at yourself and being okay with that, I think it's a very healthy practice to learn how to do that when the world is spinning, rather than when you're forced to sit down and do it. So I think cultivating other habits and finding ways to be truly with others and with the self.
So on to our very next question. So if you could be in any TV or movie franchise, what would it be and why?
I honestly, I want to make one. I want to make one about a place that I lived in Oxnard, California. And I like shout out to people in Oxnard. The place is gnarly. It's looked at by like a lot of like other neighboring towns as a sort of grungy place. But it was wild growing up. You had like gangs, and then you had hardcore music, and they would just meet, and you had people that would show up to these shows with chains and brass knuckles, and there'd be crazy music playing, and you're like, somebody's going to die today, and I have no idea what's going to happen. But I think I want to make a series. I think that's another thing I've learned, is I can't just sit around and wait for something beautiful to come, or something meaningful to come, or something great to come. Sometimes you have to do that yourself. And that is one of the greatest exercises in learning to see where you are with yourself. So that's the sort of thing I would do at this point. I would love to make a lot of money doing Marvel or something, but at the same token, I don't like measuring success just by dollar signs.
So on to our very next question. So what do you prefer more, playing the villain or the hero?
Oh, the villainous hero. No, I that's a good question. I think classically bad guys just have a lot more fun. And since I have played both, and there's something about playing a bad guy that people are like, I hate you, but I like you, but I hate you. And I don't know necessarily what that is. I think we've tried to explain that. But at this point, yeah, I kind of like playing either, you know, like the loner, quirky person, lead guy, or like, yeah, let's just be a bad guy and sort of intense. My eyebrows will tell the story. So, yeah.
Awesome. So on to our very next question. So what has been your like favorite project to work on and why?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
What has been your like favorite project to work on and why?
Oh, Jake, that's a really good question. Oh man, you know, I had a lot of amazing projects, like when I was in drama school doing a lot of theater over in England. Um, my classmates, they were all fantastic actors, but I think we put on quite a few plays that were really stretching. I don't necessarily have a specific one, but I think within that time frame, there's that sort of camaraderie that was shared. You know, around 2016 to 2018, where I just was getting my butt kicked as an American kid going over to Britain and, you know, sometimes being torn apart and going, I don't know how to do this. Whether that was with Shakespeare or, you know, Georgian style, but modern, contemporary, whatever it was a great challenge. And so don't necessarily have a favorite one, but sort of time period. That was a revelatory sort of process.
So on to our very
yeah,
next
oh yes, England.
Yes. So on to our very next question. So what are like the positive and negatives into the whole like acting industry, and how do you get through those like negative moments as an actor?
It's I think one of the big things that so many people forget is that it is an industry. It is a business, and it is a business that is very strange because I could be in the same room with people that have some of the same attributes as me, hair around the same size, maybe have the same sort of ethnic background or something, but I might be an inch too tall, or I don't know, the way that I delivered one specific line was just a little off. And it can drive you mad to try and figure out why you didn't get a role. And I think years ago, I mean, it would truly, when I was in a bit of a heavier place mentally, I would drive myself insane. But more so now, it's like I still get antsy about things, but it's just going, I've got to let it go. And you know what? This isn't my life. Like, and looking at the sort of industry and the sort of modes of operation within it, to recognize some people make this their entire life, but for me, that's not what makes me happy. What makes me happy are the relationships I cultivate with my friends, my loved ones, and creating music, and not necessarily, again, associating success or even quality with monetary value. I have. I'll tell you one thing. I saw an amazing performance by a man in England, and it was this small venue, and it was truly one of the most empowering theater shows I've ever seen in my entire life. And it didn't make a lot of money, but it changed my life, you know? And so I've had to kind of stop and reevaluate over and over and have that practice of going, okay, am I doing this because I just want money and fortune, or am I okay with just like learning to be content? And I think with an actor's arsenal, if you can learn how to be content, not just happy. I don't seek for happiness anymore in the classical sense of pursuing happiness. I think happiness is a fleeting sort of state of mind. I believe that learning to be content, even when storms rage, it's a beautiful tool. I don't have it down at all yet, Jake, but it's something that I'm learning and hoping to be able to have spread throughout my life.
So on to our very last question. So what's like next for you, like for the rest of 2021, like project wise, that you'd like to announce on the show to people?
Oh my gosh. You know, I have callbacks for projects. I submitted for things, and at this point, I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is that I'm going to be making some more music and hopping into a studio, making music. I love doing that as well. So I'll probably be doing that within the next couple weeks here. Hopefully, getting some stuff released, and getting that side of the creative spoke going.
Awesome. Well, can I just say thank you so much again, Dave, for appearing on my show. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show today. To people that haven't seen Dave's work, definitely go check out Dave's work. It has been truly incredible. It has been such an incredible ride with Dave's work and projects that he's been in. So definitely go check out Dave's work and projects and music. And give him the amazing support he deserves, because he has such a great future ahead of himself. He really does. Any last final thoughts that you'd like to say to people on the show?
Yeah, like you're enough. You're fantastic. You have things that you're trying to work on, and sometimes life feels really lonely and really hard. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I think sometimes the biggest enemy that we face is ourselves, is the person that we see in the mirror. But if we can learn to sort of be okay with what we see and find ways of improvement, absolutely, but not berate ourselves and tear ourselves down, I think we'll see how shining we really are. And you can see that in other, and the world starts to become a beautiful place. And just be kind. It's hard enough already with all the things happening in the world. Kindness, it's free. So pass it out, yo.